All right, guys. I think we're here on the. You guys are the here to the bitter end, right? And you're going to be rewarded for it. Okay. Next up is Zach Smith. Zach Smith is a serial entrepreneur, having never had a real job in his entire life. With Thomas Alvord, he started Funded.Today less than 3 years ago. And in this short period of time, the firm has become America's most successful crowdfunding firm, raising probably over now 127, 128 million for their clients. He has been featured in numerous publications, including USA Today, TechCrunch, Mashable, Entrepreneur, Forbes, and the Huffington Post. Zach graduated summa cum laude as a valedictorian from Weber State University's Goddard School of Business and Economics with a business degree in accounting. Amazing. Okay, Zach speaks fluent Mandarin. Welcome up, Zach Smith, everybody.
How's everybody doing? Who wants to know how to raise a bunch of money for their next big idea? Who's got an idea out here? Got a few? All right. That's the title of my presentation, together with Thomas Alvord. Anybody hear Thomas's presentation from earlier today on paid media? You'll have to get the recording if not. But together we've raised over 100 million, I think, when I checked. There it is. That was just a few hours ago. $126 million. That number, if you ever want to kind of if you get bored, go to Funded.Today and just keep refreshing it. We keep making money pretty quickly. So this was a recent feature that we had. Everything that I'm wearing today, actually, aside from this shirt, my wife told me I should wear the Funded.Today shirt. I was going to wear a Silver, is things that we funded. So the LunaWear watch, a Utah company. The McMacular pants. Everybody know the Basics company, Nomadic? They're on Kickstarter right now. They've done like $500,000 in the first 48 hours. I remember when they first came to us. They'd raised $7 grand. Zach, we need to raise 17 grand more. Can you help us do it? And today they're a multi-million-dollar company. On that wallet project, we ended up raising them $171,000. So that's a picture of Thomas and I that got featured all over the place, wearing some of the stuff. Kind of asked this question already, but one more time, get a little life out here. How many of you have an idea for a business? Pretty much everybody here? Okay, good. You're in the right spot. Now, the more important question. We've raised $126 million. Obviously, Thomas and I are multimillionaires. We've started lots of successful companies. We make tons of money for our clients and for ourselves. Who's done something substantial? And substantial means who wants to be a millionaire? Who wants to create a business that lasts a long time and does a lot of good? Anybody in the audience got one of those already? Great. Oh, that's a lot of hands. This might be the most I've ever seen for something like that. Good for you. I mean, that's a round of applause. It really is. Good job. Hopefully today I'm going to be able to tell all of you how you can do something substantial with that napkin idea that you have, or whatever stage it's at right now. And I believe it all starts with the 7 Ps. Thomas focused on P number 4, promotion. I'm going to touch on all of them a little bit. Product, platform, presentation, promotion, price, probability, and people. If you can check off all of these Ps, I can guarantee you will raise a lot of money for your next big idea. If even one is lacking, that's where the trouble starts. Let's dive right into number 1. Why is your product special, unique, different? What makes it different than everything on the market? So many people come to us and they haven't necessarily thought about it. What's your story? What's your why? When you can tie all those things together, that's where you have a good chance of having a great product. Another question I like to ask myself, this is one I always do. Like I said, everything I'm wearing today is something we funded. Ask yourself the same question. Would you personally want to buy this product? Would you personally put money for it? And do the same thing with your friends and family. We had a presentation earlier, I think it was Dan Baird from Crack the Crowd. I loved what he said. We call it the triple F, friends, family, fools. Who's ever said, I've got this great idea? Many people have come to me today in this conference, they're like, I got this great idea. I didn't be like, bad idea. Probably shouldn't be doing that one. No one does that, right? Everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That's so cool, it's so great. But then you launch your project, no one gives you money. How do you get past that? Well, that's the friends and family and fools. I've got this idea. It's this watch right here. It costs $100. I've only got one of them right now, but I want to manufacture 10,000 of them. It's going to be $100. Can I count on you to give me $100 on May 5th at 8 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time? Okay. And I get the commitment, I get the name, and I get the email, and I get it down. and I do that to 500 people. Who's got 500 Facebook friends? Okay, a lot of you, probably 60%. Good. What about LinkedIn contacts? What about Twitter contacts? You do that, and you individually go through, and you line up those first 500 people, and if they don't say they want it, when you really commit them for cash, time to reverse, time to go back. Okay? This is the one we always talk about, and I'm going to share a couple examples on this. Is your product innovative, techy, or cool? And then ubiquity. Ubiquity just means, is it everywhere? You know? Let me share some examples of kind of where we're at with this. Example number one. This is the watch I'm wearing, actually. Okay? A watch is ubiquitous. Why? Because who's wearing a watch today? Anybody got a watch on? Okay, quite a few people got a watch on, right? A lot of people have it. What made this watch different, techy, and cool was two parts. Number one, it's made out of bamboo, floats in water. Number two, had a story. This is one of the ads that we ran, went viral. This was raising $50,000, $60,000 a day, what you're looking at right there. Take a picture of it. You might want to copy this type of ad copy. Another rendition that made this really cool is this watch was created by the grandchildren of a fourth-generation watchmaker. 72-year-old watchmaker passes on legacy of watchmaking to grandchildren. Do you see how that resonates? And now it's not so much about the watch, it's about the story. And you add in the techie element, and you get it all combined into a beautiful ad like that. Can you see the watch, that little red circle that I tried? That's the watch. It's not even, you can't even see the watch on the ad. Thing was raising 60 grand a day, and you can't even see what's on my wrist today. Do you see why that's important? Okay? Example number two. I decided to choose Utah examples too. So almost everything in my presentation today, these are companies, we're international. We're all over the place. We work with people all over the world. But my examples, for the most part, are all Utah companies. So that Lunaware company, that's Bowman Farrar, Brian Krantz. Shout out to them. Number two is onsen. Might be pronouncing that wrong. It's a Japanese word. Onsen towel. Who's heard of that one? Cool. All right. How is a towel techie and cool? It's ubiquitous, right? Smell your neighbor. It's almost 4 o'clock. So who took a shower? Who took a bath today? Who knows? But a towel is ubiquitous. The way this towel was techie or cool, and I don't know if you can see from the pictures, but it had a waffle weave. It had some antimicrobial technology put into it. It wouldn't stink. It wouldn't get musty, and it dried really quickly. It made the towel ubiquitous. This one didn't even necessarily have as cool a story. I think he lived in Japan for a couple years, and he noticed the onsen bath showers, and he came up with the idea onsen for a towel. This one is almost at $1 million, if not over $1 million right now on Indiegogo and demand. And it did just under $800,000 on Kickstarter. This was only a month or two ago. So pretty recent example. P number two, platform. All right? Who's heard of Kickstarter and Indiegogo? Everybody in the audience heard of that? Am I talking to the right crowd here? Okay. Some people haven't. Kickstarter and Indiegogo are mainly the two places we raise money on. If you have a landscaping business, if you're on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, it's probably not the right place. Those are great businesses. They can make a lot of money if you do it right. But that's more a door-to-door type business. That's more a word-of-mouth referral type thing. If you say, I need to raise $250,000 so I can get all the equipment I need to start my landscaping business, and you toss it on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, it's probably not going to work. The same is true for most apps. Apps are tough to raise. But physical products, things that are techie, ubiquitous, that people can pledge money for as a pre-order, they do a lot better on these type of platforms. You have to get your platform right. Sometimes you have the best idea ever, but the platform's wrong. And sometimes the timing of the platform's wrong too. Sometimes you're too early or you're too late. In that case, the platform was right, but it was wrong because of the timing. A couple stats I want to share with you because of Kickstarter and Indiegogo. This might be small. My presentation actually is on Twitter as well. If you just look at tweet Zach Smith, you can follow along or download the presentation later. I uploaded it to SlideShare, so you can get Thomas's from earlier today. But if you can see that, it's pretty hard to raise money on crowdfunding. Yeah, Fund It Today's raised nearly $130 million. It's hard, though. The average raise is pretty low, and you can kind of see how it's skewed from very little money to hardly any on the edges. In fact, on Kickstarter, there's only been 70-plus projects that have ever raised over $2 million. And on Indiegogo, it's even smaller, 22. If you're trying to debate on which platform to run from, most of the time, you want to start on Kickstarter. Kickstarter is about 3 times bigger in terms of traffic, So if you can rank higher, you want to be on Kickstarter. When you're done, then you can transition to Indiegogo in demand. That's a pretty cool feature that Indiegogo has. But to start, you go on Kickstarter. Indiegogo does have some deals sometimes, though. So sometimes it's good to hit up their sales reps. They're a lot more customer friendly. And if you have a good idea, you can get the two platforms competing against each other. We love to do that. Cool little side trick. But it's hard to raise money. If you raise more than $100,000, you're in like the top 1 percentile of everybody that's ever crowdfunded. We have to do that a lot of times. The whole under-promise, over-deliver. It's a maxim at Funded Today. We have these core values. One of ours is under-promise, over-deliver because we've raised so much money. Everybody says, I got this great idea. Raise me $20 million. And I say, there's only been like one campaign in the history of the world that's raised $20 million. If we raise you $100,000, we're doing good. And that puts you in the top 1 percentile. So set those expectations right. Realize what it takes to get there, and then be happy in that journey if you get to the $100,000, if you get to the $200,000, if you get to the $500,000. All right? Number 3 is presentation. This is another Utah client. His name was Aaron Johnson. Anybody know Shotbox? Anybody use a Shotbox? Okay, yep. I think I saw a couple in the back. 4 or 5. This was awesome. Again, it's probably hard to see. He came to us midway through a project that had raised $3,000 or $4,000. Complete flop. I mean, this is a Shotbox. This is a device that you use to take pictures of something. So if I wanted to take nice, high-quality pictures of this watch, I would put it in the box, and then I would take pictures of it. And the box helps the quality so it looks really nice. But oddly enough, his pictures didn't look good to sell the Shopbox. His video was pretty terrible, and he'll admit it to you. Thomas actually personally looked at this project, and after an hour or two of analyzing it, said, holy cow, this is an amazing product. But the video's wrong, the page is wrong, the reward structures are messed up. All we did is fix the presentation. 3-week turnaround. We changed the video. We made the reward structure more clear. We made the product sing because it's an amazing product. Our creative designer who used to work with DreamWorks and Pixar uses that in all of our product photography. That's how good it is. 3 weeks later, $184,000 raised. All we changed. And I'm not just up here like blowing smoke. All we changed was the presentation. Price remained the same. We promoted the exact same way when it only raised $7,000, and we had to cancel it. Everything was the same except for the presentation. Presentation matters. In fact, presentation is more important than promotion. This example illustrates it perfectly, right? I did the same promotion both times, but the promotion only worked the second time once we got the presentation right. P number 4, promotion. This is our favorite one. This is how Funded Today was born. Everybody loves it. We raised a lot of money really quickly. The very first story of Funded Today, we raised money for a wallet. Who's heard of the Roo Sport? Running wallet. Runners, walkers, joggers. It's a pretty cool product. Multi-million-dollar company now. An older couple, too, so they don't kind of fit the techie millennial generation that everybody thinks of when they think of crowdfunding and Kickstarter. They came to me. We made their video. Brought on Thomas midway through. We executed on the paid media side of things. Raised them $115,000. This was a product that had raised little to no money before. And now it's all over the place. They're at every single marathon, every single expo, and they've sold hundreds of thousands of their product. Paid media, like Thomas hinted on, Facebook is the best place you want to be. I get asked this a lot too. They're like, wait, you guys really like to just focus on Facebook? What about everything else? And I've kind of got a new answer recently for that. Of course I'm on Facebook. There are 2 billion people on Facebook. Facebook knows everything about you. Whatever you type in about Facebook, whatever you like, whatever you comment on, whatever you've ever told the platform or even messaged, Facebook tracks you on. Do you realize how valuable that is to a data analyst like me? Do you realize what we can do with that kind of data? You better be on Facebook, and you better be spending money on Facebook. If you can't spend money to make money, you don't have a product. Spending money is what consistently creates those huge raises that you see at Funded Today. It's not everything else. It's the consistent ad spend that we scale over time throughout the length of a product. Instagram's pretty good. Pinterest is rising up too. For this watch, Pinterest actually did really well because it was a beautiful watch and we could focus it and it could share. And the one thing I like about Pinterest, it has lifetime value. An ad will disappear. On Pinterest, those ads can get shared and liked and repinned all over the place. So if you do it right, you can get traffic forever. Cross collaborations are pretty huge. This is an example of a client called Juicer from ours. And here's how we do cross collaborations, really simple. And you want to line these up before your launch, and then you want to line them up throughout your launch. Very easy. The product they did it with was called Jack in this example. Jack was a little device that made anything into some headphones. All they did is they talked about Juicer. They talked about this juicing device, and then they said, hey, while you're juicing, You might be interested in checking out this thing called Poto. And that went out to like 2,000 backers. So now 2,000 backers read an update on the juicer, but then they went and checked out Jack. And then Jack did the same thing. Hey, you might want to juice while you're listening to some music or something, right? And you can do that. There's thousands of projects on Kickstarter. There's about 5,000 projects on Kickstarter at any given time, about the same number on Indiegogo. That's 10,000 opportunities to reach out, line up these networks and say, hey, I've got 100 backers, you've got 70 backers, let's do a deal. Okay, now I've got 300 backers, you've got 300 backers, let's do a deal, let's do a deal. You can raise a lot of money that way. Conversion rate on cross collaborations, highest out of anything. $5.67 EPV, earnings per view. Meaning every view you get from a cross collaboration describing exactly what I did there, $5. Pretty high, right? And that's over millions and millions of impressions that we've done. Cashback, this is a pretty cool thing that Funded Today has invented. We have an email list of about 200,000 people now that are incentivized to back projects. There's a risk to crowdfunding. There's a chance I wouldn't have got this watch. They might have failed, they might not be able to deliver, they might run into issues. We kind of mitigate that risk by saying, hey, we'll give you 10% cash back on everything that you back. So people can join up to that network. We email 200,000 people twice a week, and we say, check out all these projects. And we usually mention 4 or 5 projects that we're working with, and then they can go and back those. If they back them, they get 10% cash back. There's lots of referral affiliate networks just like that. This is a new one, Earned Media Outreach. We actually have an infographic. Since I had to kind of condense this presentation, I didn't include it. We analyzed $65 million of pledges by source. So Facebook, Kickstarter, Huffington Post, USA Today, right? All the different traffic sources you can possibly get. We analyzed them. Anybody want to take a guess how much came from earned media and press? Let's hear some. Somebody shout something out. What percentage? 4%. Ooh, good job. This guy nailed it. You get a prize. He gets something. So 4%. That's exactly right. Let's say that not all of it tracked and double it. 8%, right? What does that mean? Everybody's like, Zach, get me in the U.S. News. Get me in CNN. Get me in USA Today. You're wasting your time. And you're really not going to get written about that much anyway. Focus on the other sources that I've talked about. Raise a bunch of money. Then go to the press. You might have a better story. And even when they do write about you, 4% of $65 million came from press. Probably not the best way to be spending your time. Yet everybody wants to do that. It looks cool, you know. I've been in all these places, and it didn't necessarily make our business any more money. It's just cool to say you're in them. I understand that, but if you want to make money, which is what we care about, focus on 80-20. Focus on the 20% of things that are going to make 80% of your money. Last thing, influencer network. I actually really loved the talk given earlier by, I can't remember his first name, but Nushwander, whatever his name was. The 14-letter guy, I don't know if he's still here. But it's big. That's actually something we're spending a lot of time on. I've hired 2 people recently just for influencer network. That's Tiffany Alver. That's Thomas' sister. She's one of the more famous YouTubers who's independently signed, hasn't ever signed with anybody. She has millions of followers, but people like her will tweet out, message out, post on Facebook to all of their millions of followers, hey, check out this watch, check out this wallet, check out this, listen to these new headphones we have are pretty awesome. She's a musician, right? If you get the right target and you get the right influencer, they can make a lot of money. And it's just about hustling. It's about networking and lining up those deals. It sounds like he had a pretty good network. He might be somebody good to talk with and see what his network could do. Building those affiliate networks of influencers can be huge, especially if they're targeted to whatever your idea is. And we're spending a lot of money and a lot of human resource building up our own network so we can have one just like we have with cashback, just like we have with our emails, just like we have with our paid media, because we think it's definitely something to keep track of. Price. P number 5 is price. This one's big. Anybody watch the show Shark Tank? Good? Okay. Dragon's Den? Any Canadians here? I was in Canada and they didn't know what Shark Tank was, so I had to say Dragon's Den. Price is big. This is Catherine Krug. Anybody watch the episode where she was on there? She got a deal with Lori Grenier. Really good deal. I think it was one of the best deals ever. And she's a fierce negotiator. Still one of the most fierce clients we ever had to negotiate with. She came to us and she was trying to sell the Better Back for $75. Didn't work. We were raising money, but it wasn't as great. She said, let's drop it to $50 and see what happens. Dropped it to $50, $1.2 million raised. All it was price. Everything stayed the same. This one was a price issue. And she had the margins. I think on the show Sharky, that's what was cool too, because you're like, oh no, she just lost $25 per sale. True, but you wouldn't believe what her margins are. I think she's net. I think it's only $7 to manufacture and ship those. So she's netting 43 before ad spend and cost that she pays us. Pretty amazing, right? Build your margins into your product so that you can test price. If you're running a business and you don't have better than 40% margin, what are you doing? Go get a job. Build a better product. You shouldn't be creating products that don't have margin. You're messing around, and it's better for you to go work for somebody else because you're just a slave to your own business if you can't make money creating your products. Build margin into your product and then test. One rule for price, start high, go low. That's what I think you can do. If it works at 75, my goodness, she's singing all the way to the bank. Didn't work at 75, worked at 50, she's still singing all the way to the bank. Now she makes tons of money. Probability, P number 6. What are your chances of making this idea into a reality? Thomas and me always kind of get into an argument on this. I think it matters a ton. It's perception. It's an underlying component to all of these 7 Ps. And this is a little note that I wrote to clarify, and I'm sorry it's so much text, so I'll just read it to you. Each of our 7 Ps really have 2 elements to them. The substance of the Ps and the perception of these 7 Ps. You can have a presentation P that conveys your product is X value, like we did with Shopbox. We made it look very much like it was worth. But you can change your presentation, and the perception of your whole product will change. So even though your product might not change physically, when you present it differently, your product P will change in the minds of your customers, or as they're called on Kickstarter Indiegogo, your backers. Onsen towel. You guys probably saw a picture of that towel, and some of you, maybe you guys are like towel aficionados, like, that looks kind of similar. I think I've seen that somewhere. I've seen that on Amazon. I've seen that on some home goods places. Anybody think it kind of looked like a towel they'd seen before? Okay, got a few hands up, right? It probably isn't that different. Yet people were paying like $60 to $100 for these towels because he created that intrinsic perceived value that no other towel that already was like that had. Can you find or purchase this idea elsewhere? Again, you might have been able to find a towel similar to that. But because of the probability of that, because of the way people were perceiving it, they thought they had to get that towel then. Actually, I like that last saying too. This kind of goes with timing. It's not always, are you building the best mousetrap? It's, are you building the mousetrap that people want right now? Okay. So, what I mean by that is really simple. 3 years ago, minimalistic wallets were a big deal, right? Everybody saw those. I don't see as many anymore. I mean, maybe they're still there, but they're not raising as much money. 2 years ago, smart luggage was pretty big. This year, it's kind of all over the place. There's trends, and sometimes it's what people want right now. Pay attention to those trends. I see a gravity blanket doing really good. And Fun Today's doing this too. We're actually a product development company now. We're looking at what's happening on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and we're listening to all the comments, and we're reading all the backer feedback, and we're saying, here's what they like about this product. Here's what they don't like. And then we pivot and we tweak and we create our own product similar to that. It's a very powerful way to do things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can look at what is out there. You can listen to the comments, first on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, then on Amazon, and then you can build a product a little different, a little better, a little more what people want, and you can have great success. There's a good tip for you. Last P is people. And we'll end with this one because these guys are killing it. This is John Richards and Jacob Durham. They're the guys that came to me with this wallet. I think it was 3 years ago. 2.5, 3 years ago. The Basics wallet. It's pretty cool, actually. Y'all should get one. That's the influencer marketing for you. But they came to me with that, and they raised $171,000 with our help. 6 months later, they launched the Basics notebook. They raised $350,000 initially, a lot more after. Then they came and invented a laptop stand, raised $400,000 or $500,000, I believe. Then they launched the nomadic travel bag, which for a time, before Purple Pillow, was the most, we did Purple Pillow as well, it was the most funded product on all of Kickstarter for Utah-based companies. And now, 72 hours in, anybody check today where they're at? They were $520,000 last time I looked, 72 hours. It's because of people. These guys showed that they could build a wallet. Then they showed that they could build a notebook. And then they delivered, and they delivered, and they delivered. And they built the email list. They built the network. They built it. They built it. They built it. And now, when they send out an email to 400,000 people, they make $500,000 in 72 hours. Be patient. It's only 3 years. And look what they've been able to do. These guys were graduates of college when they met us, begging to raise $17,000 3 years ago. I swear to you, I'm not making the story up. Pretty cool, right? People matters. And that's the presentation. Final notes. Product, platform, presentation, promotion, price, probability. All the P's matter. Remember, if you're underutilizing, neglecting even just one of those P's, honestly, your chances for success diminish drastically. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Zach. Let's go ahead and I think we have time for 1 or 2 questions for Zach. Any questions back here? Anybody? Who has a question? Raise your hands. Oh, up here in front.
I'm Chris Stapleton. I was just wondering, I didn't catch how we were going to get those the slides.
Okay, yeah. Twitter, tweet Zach Smith. If you just look me up on Twitter, just tweet Zach Smith. At tweet Zach Smith.
How do you spell Zach?
Z-A-C-H. Tweet, T-W-E-T, Zach, Z-A-C-H Smith. It should already be up there. I think it was my last tweet.
Okay, perfect. Another question. Anybody else? Are y'all just really tired or something? Okay. All right, I have a question for you. How many campaigns have you done?
We have worked with
Did I miss?
over 1,200 at this point. So, lots of data. Lots of data that we have looked at.
Okay, a question over here.
Yeah.
If I don't have a video, how do you determine if you take my product or not?
So we have an application process on our website. If you actually go to that link, apply for our services, you can. It's a short little process, probably takes a minute or two. You'll just type in some details about your project, and then one of our client specialists will go over your product to see if it's a good fit for us. We have a few in the back. Client Chandler, right here. He can help you out. Lisa and Chandler are here. They're both
stand up.
some of our client specialists. So if you guys have some questions, they're basically expert consultants, and they've seen about the same number of products that I've seen at this point in time.
Jim, do we have a question up there? Or- Where does your company need to be to get your attention?
So there isn't necessarily any rule in terms of how successful you've been, where you're at. Like I said, we've taken products from napkin all the way to exit. We've worked with products midway through. We worked with the Bowback's travel jacket, the 6th most funded project ever. He didn't hire us until he'd raised $4 million, and then we raised him another $5 million. So we can work with you at any given stage. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, we have a question over here.
What have you guys found on social influencers and getting them engaged as far as making that a more effective campaign?
Yeah, it's a huge focus for us in Q2. We're looking to build that network out. We've hired 2 people specifically just to build up that network of social influencers. One of the difficulties that I think we found is we're about numbers. We're about metrics. And everybody thinks if you got a Tiffany Albert posting to 3 million fans, oh, that's going to be huge, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to raise you tons of money. But sometimes people like that will want $20,000 for a post. If that doesn't raise me $60,000, I don't want to pay $20,000 for it, right? So it's about getting them to think quantitatively about their qualitative value. That would be my biggest thing. Try to get them to work on performance. And getting them to work on performance is tough because they think they're celebrities when they're really not. They have influence. They're good. We want to reward them for that influence. A good example is George Takei, the Star Trek guy. He posted for us for Evolution Bra, raised $280,000. That was worth it. Some guys can raise a ton of money with their influence. Others, not so much. And you got to test it out. We're all about statistical significance. We give people 3 tries. We see how it performs over an average, aggregate that, and then we determine if we want to make a long-term relationship or not.
Okay, I think we'll do one more question. We're at 3:45. I think just one more question right over here. And if you have questions, Zach, can you meet with some folks after?
Yeah,
maybe
for sure.
answer
I'll
some
be here
questions?
till 5,
okay,
so.
let's go right over here.
I used to think the intellectual property, getting that patent, I used to think that was really important, paramount to, getting it sold or anything like that. Since then, I've started working at a company where startups come to this company asking them for help getting products into retail, and they frequently don't have patents. And I have thought less of the importance of IP. What is your thoughts on that? If you plan on going big on a platform like Kickstarter, what are your thoughts on intellectual property?
So the aggressive serial entrepreneur that I am says, raise a ton of money, figure that crap out later. However, as I've matured and I have a ton of money, part of me says, it might not be a bad idea. It depends on the product for sure. There are so many ripoffs, and China's like keeping their eyes on Kickstarter like 100% of the time. So there's stuff to worry about there. At the same time, build a better product. Look what Fidget Cube did. They had all kinds of ripoffs, but if you want to try a real Fidget Cube, Chandler has one. It's so much better than the crappy copycat one. So build a great product, execute as quickly as you possibly can, but provisional patent. Those are cheap. Get a provisional patent, scare people away, scare the honest people away. the dishonest people are going to screw you anyway. That's just unfortunately how it goes. And then if you want to go and sue them, I've sued a lot of people. We win them all, but it takes forever and it's really expensive. So,
Great, guys. Give Zach a round of applause, please.